in the first term, you don't do that. Anybody who threatens the homeland of the United States is going to get a threat back. That said, Medvedev, remember, was president of Russia when Putin flirted with the idea that it was going to be a quasi-constitutional system. He was president during the hot mic in 2012 in Seoul, South Korea. I think it was in March when that famous hot mic when Obama put his hand over the mic and said to Medvedev, "Tell Vladimir that I'll be flexible on missile defense, i.e., I will dismantle it in Poland and the Czech Republic, if he gives me space, because this is my last election." So Medvedev, yeah, I can tell Vladimir that. And the thing we forget about that, they both kept their word. Putin did not invade during that election year 2012. He waited till 2014, and Obama didn't do anything about it because he had been given space so he wouldn't look weak during the election. But he did dismantle what would have been very valuable missile defense, because it would have helped Ukraine right now. So Medvedev had carved out a position 15 years ago as a young, kind of handsome, westernized, English-speaking moderate, and that was his role. And then he didn't go. Then he was president, and Putin said, "I'm prime minister. It's my turn now." And he just kicked him out. And then Medvedev said, I have to be an attack dog. So now he plays the role of the insane Russian, the bad cop, and he's threatened. I mentioned him in the epilogue to The End of Everything. He's threatened almost everybody. He's threatened to use tactical nuclear weapons against Ukraine. He's threatened Britain to use nuclear weapons. He threatens everybody. And Trump is just basically, he sent 2 nuclear submarines into the area and said, don't do it. We'll see what happens.
It's honestly what strikes me here isn't just the threats. It's the whole game Russia is playing with their image. Like 1 minute Medvedev tries to look like a Western reformer and the next he's barking nuclear threats. They're testing if anyone in the West will call their bluff. At the end of the day, if you want them to take you seriously, you can't just issue statements, you got to show real force. Trump's approach of don't even think about it or you get subs off your coast might be the only way to get through. The world's dangerous and you can't play chess with an opponent who flips the board.
The problem with this whole scenario is everything was, if I could use that vernacular, messed up in 2016, 17, with Brennan, Clapper, and Comey fabricating this Russian collusion hoax. Because remember, in 2009, it was Hillary and her team under Obama's direction that said, George Bush was too mean to Putin. The Russians don't like us. They went into Ossetia and they went into Georgia in 2008. And the criticism wasn't that Bush did nothing. He was bogged down in Iraq, unpopular at the time, but that he'd been too mean. So they said, we're going to push this reset button and we're going to be happy and friends. And then they did the worst of both worlds. You do not tell the Russian dictatorship what to do unless you're going to back it up. So they say, well, you're going to be a democracy. You're going to be a democracy. You have human rights. Oh, that's Vladimir. You're killing Russian dissidents. This is terrible. We don't like you. But they didn't. But he had no respect for them. So so they were so upset and humiliated by Russia when they put their head in the guillotine and they chopped it off, that they blamed Donald Trump the next round in 2016. And that Russian collusion hoax that this new troll from Tulsi Gabbard and Senator Grassley and the FBI and John Radcliffe at the CIA show was Putin was mystified. And so was Medvedev and all of them. They said, and it's not that they're not capable of it. They thought, this is weird. We tap into their emails, we tap into these communications, and what do we find? They're blaming us for something that we do everything. But one thing we didn't do is we didn't collude with Donald Trump, because we don't really give a blank who is elected, Trump or Hillary. We can deal with both of them. And so my point is, once they tagged Trump as a colluder, Then they went to the races to destroy his transition and his early first 22 months during the Mueller investigation. So he was Trump's puppet. He was Trump's asset. He was working for the Russians. This is Rachel Maddow. This is Jake Tapper. This is Chris Matthews. This is all of CNN, MSNBC. You go down the 99 in these parts where Devin Nunes has a residence, and you would see posters attacking Devin Newsom as a... So what was that? What am I getting at? As a Russian puppet for defending Trump. So what am I getting at? I'm getting at this. It made it almost impossible to conduct tough diplomacy or any diplomacy with the Russians, because every time Donald Trump met with Putin the first term, Brennan went on MSNBC and said he was traitorous, or Clapper went on CNN and said he was an asset. It was all cooked up. And so the problem was that then Donald Trump, to react against them, said, well, Vladimir and I get along. That set them on fire. He would just troll them. So when he went out of office, they looked at Biden and they said, Biden, we hack, he doesn't do anything. We marshal our armor on the border of Ukraine. He says his reaction will depend on whether it's a minor invasion or not. We invaded during Obama. We invaded during Bush. Somewhere, and we invaded now under Biden. But we didn't invade during Trump because they thought he was crazy. And the result of all this is, what I'm getting at is, it had a lot of ramifications.
So here's the thing nobody in D.C. wants to admit. All that Russia collusion stuff, it tied America's own hands. How do you negotiate if every time you talk to your rival, someone at home screams traitor? How's that make us look to Russia or any adversary? If your own team can't support your negotiator, why would the other side respect anything you do? It's more than bad politics. It's terrible strategy. It feels like Moscow figured that out way before we did.
Donald Trump is trying to raise revenue to create our version of Iron Dome, a missile defense system for the United States. Because our enemies, whether it's Pakistan or North Korea or China or Russia, their whole premise is that we're such a sophisticated society that one nuclear missile, with a quarter megaton, a big one, could destroy an entire city, and that in itself, in psychological, economic, political, social, moral, would destroy the fabric of the United States. And they feel that they're more durable because they're much more acquainted with death and destruction, so that the whole system is asymmetrical. We'll threaten you, we'll do all this because you are so wealthy and so sophisticated and so humane, and you won't lose any, and you're not crazy like we are. And what Trump is trying to do is say, yeah, we're actually crazier than you are. And that's his effort to ensure deterrence. And that's why he's trying to beef up the nuclear strategic deterrent.
Here's the uncomfortable part. We sometimes forget how cold the calculations are in big powers. Russia and China are societies used to hardship. They don't flinch at the idea of massive loss because their systems survive on demonstrating ruthlessness. We get caught up in our own moral debates and comfort. So if we want deterrence to work, it can't just be paperwork and meetings. Sometimes you gotta show you're willing to hit back as hard or harder. That's how you keep the peace. It's weird, but that's reality. If you value honest analysis and real conversations, make sure to subscribe, hit the like button, and share your thoughts in the comments. What did we miss, and what should we tackle next? Your voice makes this community stronger. Let's keep pushing for the truth together.